You're awake. It's somewhere between midnight and 4. The house is quiet. The specific quiet that only exists when everyone else is asleep and the day's obligations have finally stopped moving. And in that silence, a question surfaces. Not for the first time. For the 100th. Is this all there is? You close it before it can finish forming. You tell yourself you're tired. You tell yourself you're grateful. You tell yourself this is just the hour talking. But tonight, and maybe a lot of nights lately, it won't close. Here's what this video is going to give you. Not a plan, not a framework, not 5 steps back to feeling like yourself. Just this. A name for what's been waking you up. And once you have the name, once the thing in the dark has a shape, it stops being something you're surviving and starts being something you can actually hear. That's where we're starting tonight. So let's talk about why this question keeps arriving in the middle of the night and what it's actually trying to tell you. There's a reason the question arrives at night. It's not random. It's not insomnia. It's not anxiety in the clinical sense, though it can wear that costume convincingly. The reason is structural. During the day, you are performing, not in a dishonest way, in the way that all functioning adults perform. You are a mother, or a wife, or a professional, or all three, or some combination of roles that requires your attention, your presence, your ability to show up as the version of yourself each situation needs. That performance is not fake, but it is exhausting, and it takes up all the available space. When the day ends, when the last need has been met and the last thing has been handled, and the house finally goes quiet, something shifts. The performance stops, and in the silence after it stops, what's underneath becomes audible. Not louder, just audible. For the first time all day, that's the 3 a.m. question. It's not arriving from outside you. It's been there the whole time. It just couldn't be heard over the volume of everything you were managing. Research on this, on the particular quality of nighttime emotional processing, consistently shows that the hours between midnight and 4 are when the brain's regulatory systems are at their lowest. The filters that help you function during the day, the ones that tell you not now, not here, not safe, are quieter. What that means in practice is that 3 a.m. is not when you become irrational. It's when you become honest. The question that surfaces in the dark is the question your system has been trying to ask you for months, possibly years. The one that keeps getting deferred because there's always something more urgent. Tonight, we're going to let it finish. Now, let's look at what that question is actually asking when you let yourself hear all of it. Is this all there is? That's the surface layer. The version she says quickly, before she can hear herself saying it. But underneath that question is a different one. Underneath, is this all there is who am I outside of everyone's needs? Not who do you want to be? Not who did you used to be? Just who is actually here, in this kitchen, in this body, in this life. When you take away the roles she has been performing so thoroughly, she has sometimes forgotten they were performances. And underneath that question, the one most women don't let all the way through, is the one that feels most dangerous. Is there anyone left underneath? Did I erase myself so completely that if I took away the roles there would be no one there? That's the one she closes fastest, because that one has teeth. Here's what's important to understand about all 3 of those layers. They are not a sign that something is wrong with you. They are not ingratitude. They are not a midlife crisis in the dramatic, destructive sense. They are not proof that you made the wrong choices or built the wrong life. They are the predictable, logical result of spending decades in a system organized around your availability. Your emotional availability, your physical presence, your willingness to make yourself smaller when the situation required it. A pattern that keeps appearing in studies on midlife and identity, specifically among women who built lives around caregiving roles, is that the identity erosion doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. She didn't disappear overnight. She disappeared in increments, each one reasonable. Each one chosen from love. Each one, at the time, the right thing to do. The problem is that the self doesn't keep a running total of what's been set down. It just notices, quietly, persistently. At 3 a.m., when the performance finally stops, and there's nothing left to manage, and the question can finally finish forming. And now we come to the part that changes how you hear this question completely. Here is the thing that changes everything about the 3 a.m. question. You have been treating it as a problem. You have been treating the question, the surfacing, the spiral, the is this all there is, as evidence that something has gone wrong. as a symptom to manage, as the thing you need to get back to sleep before you can examine. But what if 3 a.m. isn't when you fall apart? What if 3 a.m. is the only hour you tell yourself the truth? Think about what the question is actually doing. It is surfacing in the one window of the day when your regulatory systems are quiet enough to let it through, when the performance has stopped, when no one needs anything from you, when the voice that says not now, not here, is finally tired enough to step aside. That question is not your system breaking down. It is your system trying persistently, across months and possibly years of being shut down, to tell you something it considers important enough to keep coming back to. It's not a symptom, it's information. And here is the part that matters most. The question is not, is this all there is in the sense of this life is a failure? The question is this all there is to me? That is a completely different question. Is this all there is to me is not ingratitude. It is not crisis. It is not evidence that you don't love the life you built or the people in it. It is the question that every human being eventually asks when they have spent long enough performing who they are supposed to be and long enough suppressing who they actually are. The reason it feels so dangerous is not because the answer is dangerous. It's because you've never been given permission to let the question finish. You've been shutting it down because you've been treating it as a threat to everything you've built. But the question is not a threat to your life. It is the beginning of your return to it. Not a rupture, a return. The 3 a.m. question needs somewhere to go. Not to be answered all at once, but to be held somewhere outside your own head, where it can become language instead of spiral. There's a workbook in the description built for exactly this moment. 7 guided exercises that take the question from the dark into words you can actually work with. Link is in the description. So what do you do with this now? Starting tonight. So what do you do with this? Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight, if you're in the middle of it right now. The first thing is this. Stop treating the question as something to survive. You have been closing it down because staying with it felt like opening a door you wouldn't be able to close again. That fear is understandable. It is also, structurally, what has kept you in the same spiral for months. Because here's what happens when you keep closing the question down. It doesn't go away, it just waits. For the next quiet moment, the next night when the performance stops, the next time the house is still and there's nothing left to manage, and the truth has nowhere left to be except right here, with you at 3 a.m. The question doesn't need to be answered tonight. That is not what tonight is for. What tonight is for is this. Allowing the question to exist without immediately trying to close it, fix it, reframe it into gratitude, or convince yourself it means something it doesn't. The question is this. All there is to me is not a verdict. It is an opening. And here is the internal objection that is probably already forming. Okay. But knowing this has a name doesn't actually change anything. That objection is honest. And it's partially right. Naming is not healing. Naming is not transformation. Naming does not resolve the decades of self-erasure that produce the question. But here is what naming does. It moves the thing from the category of shame into the category of information. And information, unlike shame, can be worked with. She has been waking up at 3 a.m. and interpreting the question as evidence that something is wrong with her. Her gratitude is insufficient. Her contentment is inadequate. She built a complete life and still can't be satisfied with it. So the problem must be her. That interpretation is not just painful, it is factually incorrect. The question is not evidence of a character flaw. It is evidence of a self that has been patient for a very long time and is no longer willing to be deferred. That self is not gone. She didn't disappear. She went quiet, the way everything goes quiet when it stops being given room. But quiet is not gone. And the question at 3 a.m., the one she's been shutting down before it can finish, is how she's been knocking. If you want to take the question somewhere, it can actually become language. There's a workbook in the description built exactly for this. 7 exercises. The link is also in the pinned comment. What does the 3 a.m. question sound like for you? And how long have you been closing it down before it can finish? Here is what to leave with tonight. Not a plan, not a next step. Just this. The question that surfaces at 3 a.m., the one that sounds like ingratitude, the one you've been treating as a symptom, the one you close before it can finish because it feels like it might open something you won't be able to put back. That question is not the problem. It is the most honest thing your system has produced in years. It arrives at night because the night is the only hour the performance finally stops. When the filters are quiet, when no one needs anything, when there is nothing left to manage except the truth of your own experience. 3 a.m. is not when you fall apart. It is the only hour you tell yourself the truth. And that question, is this all there is to me, is not a verdict on your life. It is not proof that you built the wrong things or loved the wrong people or made the wrong choices. It is what happens when a self that has been patient for decades finally finds a quiet moment to make itself heard. The empty feeling you've been carrying, the hollow quality underneath the complete life, is not a problem with your gratitude. It is a logical response to a very long contract with other people's needs, a contract that at some point quietly crowded out a contract with your own. And now that you know that, even slightly, even just tonight, it belongs to a different category. It is information. And information, unlike shame, can be worked with. The woman underneath all of this has not been replaced. She has not been erased beyond recovery. She has been patient. And patient is not the same as gone. The question she keeps asking at 3 a.m., the one that won't close, is not a sign that something is wrong. It's how she's been knocking. Tonight, for the first time, you heard her. That's enough for now.